Good morning guys. If you want to skip the video you can, but this is the finished product. What it was is I bought the actual router table second hand off the marketplace. And it came with crappy plastic sides and crappy plastic drawers on the side. The bottom cabinet used to be what my table saw sat on, and what I've done, I've put drawers on and shelves on and drawers in, and I've made it a pretty half decent router table. So if you want to see how it was done, here's the video. Okay, what I've done here guys, just off camera, is I've just measured the width of the lower cabinet. I'm just cutting this down to size. Then what I will do then is I'll find the centre of the lower cabinet, measure it across on this board and cut it down to size so that we've got the two doors. Quickly find the centre. There's the centre there. Now we'll cut that right down the middle, and that's our two doors for the lower cabinet. This is not the best plywood in the world guys, so I'm just going to give it a quick sand, smooth it off a little bit. Not one of these people who can afford to go out and buy premium birch plywood, so just going to give it a rough sanding down and get it smoothed off just a touch. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just measuring the width and the width and the height for the inserts that I'm going to do. These will be for the drawer walls. Now I took the router table off here because it was only placed on. That big square piece in the middle is covering a hole because that used to be the dust extraction for the table saw. Now here is why I took the router table off, and this was so that I could just get the power cable in. In a minute I'll screw it back down using pocket hole screws. This little angle piece for cutting for drilling at an angle comes in so useful, man. I will leave a link for that in the description if you want to buy one. This piece now is one of the side walls that we cut before, so we're just doing a couple of pocket holes in that so that we can screw that to the base. As I said before, the router table was only ever placed on the top of here, but now that we're going to put drawers and that on, add drawers to it, we're going to screw it down with some pocket holes.
make it nice and secure. Now you'll see me put a spacer at the bottom and the front now. There we go, there's the spacer. Now I decided to cut 4 of them, and I'm going to use them permanently, top and bottom, back and front. And I'm also going to put one in the middle on the bottom. For some reason I decided against using potholes on the actual drawer wall. Here I'm making the rest of the spacers that we just used on the front of the drawer. I'm going to put them up the front, the back, top and bottom, and one in the middle. That'll give us nice equal separation throughout the whole drawer. Now the reason I'm putting the clamps on here, guys, is because the back cardboard was coming off when I was putting that back piece in, so that's the only reason. A couple of brad nails in there, here and there, make it a bit stronger. Now I am going to eventually put the drawer sliders on them bottom pieces that we've just put in there, and the reason I'm doing that is because of the square piece that we covered the hole with would make the sliders at 2 different heights, so I thought this would be the easiest way of going about it, by putting these spacers in, and it also makes the side walls a lot stronger. Now I realised here I'd glued the back one on its side instead of flat, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a spacer on the front one to bring it to the same height as the one that's at the back, basically just so the rails can run level.
What we're doing here, guys, because we've got that strip of hardboard in there, because this was originally the bench that sat on, and that had a big hole in it. So because we've got that cardboard there, we're going to put these in the middle, but we're only going to do them up to that bench there, and we're going to have to put a little piece in there as well, just to keep the heights the same level, because if we put them right across they'll be slightly higher. Right, and what we're going to do here, I'm going to use that as a spacer. I'm going to put it down there all the way to the back. I'm going to put a screw in there and on the back piece there.
Okay, I've got screws in the back and the middle piece. Now when I come to put the screw in the front one, there's no wood by the hole, so I've got to add a little piece of wood behind the section that we put in at the front. There we go, just so I can get a screw into that.
once we get that middle piece in there, which is just gluing up at the moment, because we're going to put that piece in that side and use the same shape, the same spacer. Okay, now we're going to put that piece in there, and that way we've got the height secured on that side. And make sure it's not on the screws there. This is a couple of pieces of wood we've just measured to, we actually measured it to the big piece that you see me trying out before with all the drill holes in it. That's the piece that's going to hold all the router bits. So we've measured it to the outer diameter of that. One's going to be the base and one's going to be the side wall. Right, this is the piece I was talking about a moment ago with all the drill holes in it, going to hold the router bits, and all we're doing here is giving all the three pieces a straight edge, something that we can glue to nice and straight. Check it all out, make sure it all fits. Now the side wall of the drawer that we're building wasn't quite high enough, so we're just going to add this little piece onto it, glue it on, and we're just getting a straight edge on it first before we glue it. There we go, glue it up. Just adding these couple of pieces on, guys, just to make sure it doesn't warp, just so it stays straight.
Okay, this is the same spacer that we used to put the other side in. We're going to use it for this side as well. Hopefully that'll keep the two rails parallel so we get a nice smooth run. Sorry about the camera work in some of the places, guys. Sometimes it's just hard to get it in the right position. I know you can only see the back of my baldy head there and my shoulders, but I apologise. Okay, we're just about to attach the hinges that we're going to use. We're going to attach them to the door. And what I'll probably do here is I'll clamp this block of wood on so that the edge of the hinge will stay flush with that edge. Stop it like moving when you're drilling. Now I am using them special drill bits here where you put it in the centre of the hole and it keeps it centred. I'm just using the square so that I get them equal measurements on either side, away from the edge. Okay, as you can see here, guys, I'm about to put this door on. I'm going to get highly technical now. Use a couple of blocks of wood, a couple of shims just to get the door right. And what I'll generally do is I'll put one screw in each hinge just to make sure everything's right, so that if it's not right I can move it without drilling holes here, there and everywhere. Now if you know a better way of doing this, I wouldn't mind finding out about it, so just leave a comment down below and let me know. Thanks a lot. Okay, what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm actually cutting two pieces which I'll be gluing together shortly, and they're going to be the front of the left hand side drawer. And the reason I'm cutting two pieces instead of one long pieces is because they're not actually long enough, because I'm using scraps of wood here that I've got in the garage. So I'll cut two and glue them together. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Once again, just a quick sand off. As I say, don't worry about that groove, guys. This is just scrap wood we're using. Now there, I'm just measuring up for the base of the drawer on this side, and we'll just trim that down to size. Now these two white pieces I've got here, these are just scraps left over from one of the wife's little creative jobs. So I thought I'll use them for the walls since they're nice and thin, and this is a small drawer. So I'll just get rid of the string that's used to hang them up. Same principle, 2 blocks on the top to keep everything nice and separated. Now I'm only doing that little bit of sanding there just so I can put a bit of glue on and that it sticks, because these 2 pieces of wood are obviously painted white. Now, this piece you see me cutting now, which I'll place on as the top of the drawer, I don't actually need to do that, but you'll see what I mean later on, because once I put the front on the drawer, then I've got no access to getting into the drawer. So what I end up doing is the piece I'm gluing on now, which is going to be the roof, I'll end up taking that off so that I've got access to the drawer. You'll see what I mean. Now this is the back of the drawer that I'm gluing on, and I don't cut off that extended piece at the back there, I leave that on. Now here's where I make another mistake, which I'll rectify in a minute, but lucky enough I only used a few drops of glue just to hold it temporarily while I tried it out. I'm actually gluing that right on the edge of the front of the drawer. It doesn't need to go right on the edge, it needs to go like an inch or so in, which you'll see what I'm doing in a second or two. Now, there you see what's wrong. I put a bit of glue on and a couple of screws just to temporarily hold that, which is lucky. So now I'll take it off again and I'll redo it with the door measured correctly to one side. Now you can see the difference from the first time around there. And now we're putting that on place permanently. There we go, much better. Now I think it's still a little bit long here, so I'll end up trimming just a little bit off on the table saw, which is what you see me doing here. Now if you're wondering why I haven't put a side on the other side, it's because it's just easier to put in the router bits in and out if it's only got the one side on. If you stick around to the very end, you'll see what I'm talking about. Much easier with one side. Now with this drawer being so narrow, I was trying to get away with just using one runner, but it didn't really work out. It wasn't really balanced well enough, so I did end up using two runners in the end, which you can see me putting on here now. Now if you've seen the video a little bit earlier on, guys, I did actually have the wall put in here, which I had to remove again because I couldn't get my hand in to screw them two back screws in for the runners. But here I am putting the wall back in after I've screwed in the runners. Okay, time to screw this drawer in. Screw it up to the runners. All I'm doing here, guys, is measuring up the length for the drawer fronts on the other side, and we'll mark it off and trim it off. Okay, mistake number 2 coming right up. You see now, if I put that front on there, I can't get access to the drawer when I pull it out because it's got a roof on it. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. Now these 2 screws that I'm about to put in, they're not just put in willy-nilly, they're actually going into the thick part of the drawer on the inside, so that they've got something to grip onto. Now look, I can't get into the drawer. So next time you see me open that drawer, guys, you'll notice it won't have a roof on it, because I did take it out and I took the roof off, but I forgot to put it on the video. Now the reason I'm putting a bit of just draft extruder on here is because the runners I got for the drawers are very slightly too big for there, so when you close the drawer there's actually a little bit of a gap there, and I didn't want sawdust getting into that gap, so I put draft extruder there. Here I'm just rounding off the edges, take all the sharp bits off, using a round over bit with my router. That also makes it look a little bit better. And as if by magic, the roof has gone off the drawer and I've got access to it now. Just gonna put a little bit of polyurethane onto the drawers, protect them. It also darkens them just a little bit. It is clear polyurethane, but it still darkens them just a little bit. Now I purposely chose the side of the plywood that had the knots showing, because I think they look quite good in the front once it's varnished up. Here I'm just painting the rest of the cabinet black, and now we're measuring up for the handles. And one thing you might notice now is I've actually put little magnets into the door so that it locks closed. There's one of the magnets there that you can see. Just drilling the first hole for one of the handles. Now what I'm doing here, guys, is I'll put a little bit of blue masking tape across the handle, and I'll poke the holes in where the screws go so I've got the correct width, and then I'll try and put them on the blue tape on there, match it up to the first hole and try and put it on so it's level and straight, so I know where to drill the second hole. Mark it off, drill it out, and we're ready to put the handle on. Now these screws that you get with the handles to screw them on, depending on what size you wood, I'm only using 1/2 inch ply here. It's a little bit too long, so what you do is you'll put it through, see roughly how big you need on the other side, and then cut it with a pair of snips like that. That's what I'm doing there. Put it back through and screw it onto the handle. Now I like to just screw it on very loosely on the first one, and then line up the second one, get that started, and then screw the two of them in tightly. Okay guys, what I tried to do here is glue some very thin redwood onto the outer side of the drawers, because I'm trying to match the workbench drawers, but I couldn't quite get it to work properly, and I never had enough redwood to try it and do it over again, so I thought, to hell with it, I'm just going to paint it black. So instead of trying to match them up, I've just painted them black. But that's all I did there, is I had some very thin redwood cut and I glued it onto there, but I didn't have enough to make the job properly. So that's why it's getting painted black. Okay, we're just putting the handles on the drawers now. Find the middle of the drawer, the middle of the handle, and line them up together, and then put your blue tape on. Find the middle of the blue tape in between the holes, put it on, drill your holes, and put your handles on. I hope that makes sense. Okay guys, coming to the end of the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a like, maybe subscribe, and maybe a comment below. Any tools that you might have seen in the video that you might have taken a liking to, I'll leave links in the description. There'll be Amazon links. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.